Hello, good evening. Welcome again to Anupali. Thank you for choosing to spend another Sunday evening with me. As you know, throughout the day we have experienced the effects of a tropical wave, and I hope you have kept inside, warm and safe. The weather serves as another reminder that we are in the midst of the hurricane season and should keep our guard up. I encourage you to maintain a high level of awareness so that in the case of a major event, you, your families, and your communities are prepared. This program was designed with every one of you in mind, as a means for me to keep in touch with you, to hear from you, and address the issues that impact your daily lives. As we continue with our weekly interactions, I invite you to share with me your thoughts on how best we can move our country forward, especially during these challenging times. On this evening's program, I will devote the time to speak directly with you. I will take your calls throughout the program, and you are welcome to call in with your queries or just to share ideas on some of the developmental issues we face as a nation. The numbers to call are 611-3400 and 225-3400. 611-3400 and 225-3400. I would like to, first of all, speak to you and to update you on the situation with regards to COVID-19. We have, as you would have heard, confirmed the case number 3. And case number 3 is a passenger who came in on the 26th of August through the Douglas Charles Airport. And of course, having been deemed a high risk, the traveler was transferred to mandatory quarantine at Portsmouth. The person went into secondary screening and tested, and unfortunately, that result came back positive. And so I want to commend the health officials at the airport, the port health people and others for the management and for the implementation of the protocols. Luckily for us, as you know, we have some protocols in place, and we've been seeking to follow the protocols and to ensure that those who come in they stick to the protocols. And so I want to say to us that when we are seeking to have these protocols in place, please bear with us, because we have to do it to protect you, to protect your families, to protect your communities, and to protect Dominica. And so with us having the opportunity to get this passenger at the airport, then there's no need for contact tracing, because the person would have come into no contact with people right here in Dominica. In respect to the second case, the second imported case, that person is being treated. I want us to also appreciate the extraordinary efforts of the health team, especially where it relates to contact tracing. And you heard Dr. Skerrit E12, the director of the Pan American Health Organization, commending Dominica on its efforts at contact tracing. And I can tell you, I don't give people marks for free, but I must commend the team that deals with contact tracing at the Ministry of Health. I mean, they were very, 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 very circumspect and diligent with the contact tracing, and in a very quick time we were able to contact, to trace, to contact, and to test people who would have come into contact with the case that we had a few days ago. So I wish all of them a speedy recovery. There's no need for us to take any action in regards to closure of borders. As we always said, once you open up your borders, you expect there to be cases. This has been the situation in all countries across the world. Once you open up, there's an opportunity for cases. Mm-hmm. In our situation, we've only had 2, with one person contracting it from an imported case. And so let us hope for the best. This is not a time for us to be anxious, but it is also a time for us to remind ourselves of the need for us to play our part, because we have a responsibility as individuals to protect ourselves. We have to ensure that our safety is assured by ourselves and the safety of others as well. So the issue of respiratory hygiene, we've been told so many times, in terms of coughing and in terms of wearing our masks, in terms of hand sanitizing. We have to do those things, and we have to do it more often. And so the more we do these things, is the more we reduce on the risk associated with us coming into contact with COVID-19. And of course, at the business places, we want to thank you for your collaboration and cooperation thus far. We cannot give up, we cannot get complacent. And so the temperature testing, the temperature checks at the business places, at the restaurants, at the hotels, at the supermarkets, at the bars, etc. We need to do more of it. We're doing some of it, but we're not doing enough of it. And we need to do more of it. And it's very simple. These days, to take some temperature, you just put something in the person's forehead and bam. You have to put it, come close to the person, and you get a reading and so forth. So there's no big science in this. There's no difficulty with this. Let us do it because it helps in our fight against COVID-19. We continue to pray for all those who have contracted this, over 25 million people across the world, and several hundreds of thousands have died. We empathize and we sympathize with these countries and the families with regards to COVID-19. And of course, I would like to extend our condolences to the government of the United States of America and the authorities in the state of Louisiana on the passage of the hurricane there, which affected this wonderful state of Louisiana. And we had some deaths there and dislocation of families. So we know what you're going through. We've been through it, and you have been through it in a dramatic way yourself, some 12 or so years ago. And so I can understand the anxieties and the fears that you have, with regards to this hurricane which affected your state. So we are here with you. We're in solidarity with you, and we will continue to pray that the good Lord will spare us for the rest of the season. We have two systems back to back coming towards us. I've been told so far one is about 40% chance of developing into something that we should be concerned about, another 20%. We just have to continue to prepare for the hurricane season. We are in the hurricane season. Let us not take anything for granted. If there's a drain that is blocked in our village, in our street, let us unblock it. Let us continue to cut the overhangs. Let us continue to reach out to the senior citizens and ensure that they're safe. We've got a lot of rain today, and you saw, thank God there's no damage, but the rain is giving us a warning, that we need to be vigilant and we need to be aware of the impact of these natural disasters on our country. And we pray to the God that we are not hit. None of our countries, none of our islands, none of our states, because none of us in this world, no country, big or small, middle income, low income, high income country, none of us can sustain a natural disaster this time. This COVID-19 is dealing a serious blow to our economies and to the state of our finances in Dominica and the rest of the world. And countries are finding it very difficult to provide for their citizens, and the dislocation that has caused, and it continues. It continues. So we really just have to watch and pray and to do what we need to do for our country and for ourselves. It's a real challenge. So we like to say to all of us that with regards to COVID-19, let us play our part. As far as the government is concerned, as we have done, and we continue to be transparent, and we'll be transparent in all of these processes. When we give you information, it is factual information. You understand? There's no need for us to keep information from you, because the more information, the more accurate information you have, it is better for the government, it's better for the Ministry of Health, it's better for the health officials, because you are well informed and you can know what you need to do to play your part. Again, I commend the professional leadership of the Ministry of Health and the health officials and the teams that are working at the quarantine facilities to ensure that the protocols are adhered to and we can respect it. So there's no need for us to close our borders. There's no need for us to take any actions to close our economy. We have to gradually learn to live with COVID-19. I want to also speak to you about the international airport and to give you a quick update on where we are with regards to our plans to construct the international airport for our country. Just on Thursday gone, I met with farmers and property owners in Wesley, several of them whose properties have to be acquired by the government. And first of all, I really want to place on public record, I may have done so before, but I want to reiterate it here this evening, my extreme gratitude and profound gratitude to the property owners in the Wesley London area, Woodford Hill area. People there have been exceptional with their collaboration and cooperation. I thought it would have been a very difficult task, but to be honest with you, it has been a very easy task because the people understand the importance of this project to Dominica, to their livelihoods, and to the future of this country. And they have concerns, and legitimate concerns. We accept those concerns, we respect those concerns, and we intend to respond in a pragmatic way and a practical way to the concerns which they have raised. Very reasonable concerns, nothing outlandish in my respectful view, but based on what they raised with me on Thursday. So I really want to say thanks to them on this. And we will put systems in place to addressing those issues which the property owners have raised. And I really want to thank them. What we have also done is that we have put in place a ministerial committee to oversee this airport project, and also a technical committee to oversee this airport. For now, the technical committee is with public officers. We intend to extend it to the private sector and other interest groups in the next week or two, so that there is a greater involvement of the whole of the country in respect to the airport. Through their own volition, the property owners in Westlake created a property owners committee, and we've almost formalized that committee to work with us on the ground to inform us of the issues and the concerns. And I must say that they have been working very well, and we've been working very well with them. And we intend to have 2 representatives from this committee to serve on the national committee as well, so that there is a sharing of information, a communication going on a daily basis. These ministerial and technical committees, I have mandated them to meet every week to follow up on issues relating to the construction of the airport. And I have said to them, we need to work assiduously to meet our targets with this project. The other thing that we have done, we have concluded the surveys of some 233 properties of varying sizes, with people who have agricultural lands, people who have residential lots, people who have homes on their residential lots, and so forth, and a mixture of this. We have been able to respond to the suggestions of the property owners. So in some cases, there are people who want cash for the land and will be facilitated. There are people whose homes have been affected and they want a home replaced, and we will be facilitating that. People want their farmlands to be exchanged for farmlands, and we have about 150 acres of land in the Wesley area that we have identified, and we've started the mapping out to swap with these farmers. We also have about 40 acres of land for housing that has been subdivided, and we intend to start the construction of homes on these properties, both in Wesley and Woodfordale, for the people who will be affected and others as well. And so the whole idea is to ensure that people can be, people are not worse off having sold the land to the government and that they're not out of pocket. So for example, a gentleman raised a question, look, I have a mortgage, okay, you're gonna acquire my land, no problem with that, I'm fine with that. But if I if I pay off the mortgage earlier, sooner, I have to pay a penalty. And would the government be prepared to cover that penalty? And my simple response to this, and direct response to this, was yes. And in this circumstance, yes, we would do that because we would not want that person to be out of pocket. We have also done crop assessments for the farmers there. I believe 29 farmers or so, 29 farmers. We have approved for the funding. The checks were ready as on Friday the 28th, so people could be paid on the 28th. And I'm hoping that people can pick up their checks. There are 15 landowners who have indicated that they want money, they want cash for their land, and those 15 people will be facilitated as early as Friday of this week. And payments will start to be made to them. Recognizing also, telling somebody who's been living in a property for 72 years to leave can be an emotional situation. People that's where they've been. The grandparents on this land, their parents on this land, they themselves on this land. So it's an emotional thing and so on. This is why we've been very careful as to how we go about approaching this and very respectful to the property owners and so forth. And recognizing that this thing can disrupt somebody's emotional state, we have identified someone to provide psychosocial support for those who need it. And that person has been already engaged and will be part of the government's efforts in terms of the negotiation process for the acquisitions of land in there. Now, for years there's been a debate about the international airport. I'm hoping that this debate is over. We need the international airport, I believe. It is a costly exercise, but we need it. We need it for a number of reasons. One, to sustain the investments that we've made in the tourism industry, and also in agriculture as well. And I think it will place Dominica in a better position to assure itself of a brighter future. With the international airport, we are assured that we'll have direct flights from many of the international ports. And I think there are many people who would like to come to Dominica, but the whole idea of having to transit and spend several hours and sometimes even overnight in this country in another country before getting Dominica, people don't like this. And I think with the quality of hotels we're building, the beauty of our country, the natural fauna and the rivers and the waterfalls and the lakes and the hot springs and the nature, I do not believe that there are many countries in the world that can compare to us in terms of this and the security of our country, the safety of our country. And so we have been promoting ecotourism, developing a tourism around the environment and protecting the environment, and Dominica has an enviable track record in protecting and conserving the natural environment. While I'm on this, so in regards to the international airport, before I go to my point, I really want to tell you that we're making every effort to move the airport, and I will keep you updated as time goes by. On Thursday, I've also mandated the Ministry of Housing and the Technical Committee to go back to Wesley, where they will be presenting the designs and floor plans for the homes which we'll be building for people who will be affected. So people who want a home to replace the one that they have, we will be building homes for them, and we'll be presenting those plans for them. And I'm sure the folks there will appreciate the quality of the homes that we'll build for them. I believe we have a caller, please. Hello.
Hi, PM. Good evening.
Hi, good evening to you.
Okay, I'm sure as always. I just want to ask, in the new cases that we're having, parents, do you think that we're open school? That it should be pushed back? I know it's not.
I think you broke up a bit, did we? Schools? Oh, okay. Whether schools will be affected opening because of the case. Thank you, caller. The caller is asking whether the European schools will be affected because of this case. I don't think so. There's no community spread, any evidence of community spread, and this last case was captured at the airport. So the person never had the opportunity to mingle in the community or the country. So this is important news that the person went through the secondary screening as is mandated by the protocols, and that person was sent straight into quarantine with the results. The results came back positive. The person was taken into the isolation unit at the Dominica China Friendship Hospital. So I don't think it will affect the European school. Yes, another caller, please. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Hallelujah.
Greetings to you. Go ahead, please.
I'm not going to the. All right.
Yeah. The most important thing when you call, turn on your volume of your television or radio, and then we will hear each other very clearly. Thank you. So it's not going to affect the European school. There are protocols that we have set for schools and the European schools. This week coming, teachers will go into the school plan to prepare, to use the week to prepare for the return of students. There are clear guidelines that schools need to follow. I'm satisfied that if we follow them, we should be safe. And of course, whatever suggestions the public may have, the parents may have, teachers may have, as to how they believe we can enhance the guidelines and to ensure that we protect the students and teachers as far as practically possible, we're open to this. And of course, students will go into the schools, I believe, on the 7th of September. So let's get ready for students to go and learn. They've had a long stint away from the classroom. But by the grace of God, we're in a position where they can go back to the classrooms, and we're grateful for this. Housing, we had a very important ceremony on Friday morning. We had an orientation for those who have been declared beneficiaries. 90 of them, 90 people have been finalized, have been approved to receive a grant of $125,000 to help build a 500 square foot residence, a maximum of 500 square foot residence. This is the World Bank funded housing recovery project. As you know, after Hurricane Maria, we approached the World Bank for a number of funding initiatives in housing, in agriculture, in infrastructure. And you recall that we gave farmers after the hurricane, some farmers $10,000 each, and some farmers $3,000 each in cash. Unprecedented, eh? And also we contracted a loan for housing. In that package, the World Bank had given us $115 million. 65 million were loans and 50 million were grants. And we're very grateful to the World Bank for this. So on Friday, we had a ceremony, an orientation ceremony for the 90 homeowners. It is expected that we will build about 600 homes under this initiative. And there's been a delay because we had to renegotiate the conditions which were set for this particular initiative. One, I felt that at the time, the $50,000 would not be able to build a home. And also felt that the 300 square foot was a bit tight, or a bit small. And then another condition was if you had received any support, financial support from the government or from an international agency, you would not have qualified. What we found, the majority of people, everybody who applied, received some kind of support from the government or the other, and therefore they would have been eliminated. So what we did, we said to the World Bank, let us amend this particular condition. So they brought it up to 10,000. So anybody who received $10,000 or more would not be qualified. So if you receive 10,000 or less, then you qualify. And then we increased the house size from 3,000 square feet to 300 square feet to 500 square feet. And we increased the cost, the financial contribution, the grant, from $50,000 to $125,000. And so we're very happy for the 90 beneficiaries. In the next couple of weeks, another list will be published of beneficiaries. So everything is in place to move. We've been held back also by COVID-19, but I think now we have the systems in place and we can move with the start of these homes for so many people. Now, this is part of a wider House in the Nation program that the government has had. I mean, we've helped thousands of people cover the roofs. We've given keys to about 1,500 people. And as you know, we set ourselves a mandate of building 5,000 resident homes for citizens. And I'm confident that we'll get to the target. I'm very confident we'll get to the target. Obviously, we cannot house everybody at the same time, but if we put in one person, that's one person less on the list. And so we just approved some 30 names for the residences in Jimit. We're hoping to finalize Granby next week and Stock Farm this week as well. So in the days ahead, we will be able to provide keys to some 90 families in Granby, in Roseau North, and in Jimit. And of course, the several housing initiatives are going on in Upper Riverbank, opposite the grammar school. You can see work is going on there. Maybe there were about 60 or so apartments will be built for the residents of Roseau. We'll be doing some work in Roseau Valley, in Trafalgar, also in Point Michelle, in Scott's Head, in Wesley, in Woodfordale, and the list goes on in many parts of the country. And so we're doing this. We've also approved some $5 million to go towards the procurement of windows and doors at the constituency level. And we have been providing these windows and doors over the last several weeks. And also people have raised questions about home repairs, additional home repairs to the homes. We're open to this. I would suggest to you that you make an inquiry to the Ministry of Housing or to your respective parliamentary representative at the constituency offices and make a request there so we can facilitate your request in regards to housing assistance. The other thing I want to, and of course, regards to housing, as you know, those homes that we're providing to beneficiaries, the intention is to provide them with a certificate of title. The process has started before COVID, and we discussed in the cabinet to have it given greater prominence. We have before us at the cabinet a new policy to deal with how do we treat with the homes that we're building. There has been some calls in the public domain that we believe that people should pay something for these homes, and also the issue of insurance for these homes, and the overall maintenance of these residences is very important. And I always say to people, if you get a home and you're paying rent of, let's say, $600, it means therefore you no longer will be paying that rent of $600. And so I challenge you to save $300 of that $600. Build some financial capital, so that you can have something for rainy days. Let us not find something to spend that $600 on, because we used to find it every month. And if you're no longer required to pay it, then you should save it so that you can build yourself up and really see a true benefit from this. For the students studying overseas, I know there's a concern. I believe that the government has to improve on its communication. Let me get a call and I'll come back to this point. Hi, caller.
Yes, good evening, Prime Minister. Good evening.
Yes, sir.
I must say that it's unprecedented that over the last 10 years, we have seen significant development in Jamaica. And I'm so excited, especially as we spoke about the international effort that's coming on stream. Now, here, I'm excited about development. So I hope there's some plan to build an overnight, at least 30 to 40 rooms within close proximity of the airport. Because, sometimes you may have flight canceled instead of within close proximity. The other area I would like to see is at least $200,000 to be spent in the Benjamin Park to have a nice covering. Because most of the patrons, when I go to see sports there, people talk about, the facilities, seats and so on. Something of that sort. And then we need another sporting facility between Dodan and Salibia, a decent area in between. But we got to finish that area so that can begin to develop again on the north of the island. Thank you very much, and may God bless.
Sure. Thank you. I have some points to discuss, but once the callers come, I will divert to the caller's question and respond to the caller's question. In respect to Benjamin's Park and the covering of the basketball court, we intend to completely reconstruct the Benjamin's Park, the hard court there. As you know, the government has indicated its intention of moving to cover a number of these basketball courts across Dominica. Obviously, we're not able to cover every one of them, but we have started, as you've seen, in Massac. We're building a massive facility there. We intend to cover St. Joseph. We intend to cover, I believe, Pichle. We intend to cover Paybush, Portsmouth included. I believe there's one in Castle Bruce. We intend to do some upgrading of the one in Point Michel. So there are a number of hard courts that we are going to improve and also to do some coverings on so that games can be held in all weather periods. We're in the country, and I believe the Basketball Association is very pleased with that, and we will certainly keep our commitment to these regional centers where we can have those coverings. I believe in Granby as well, coverings of those basketball courts. We'll also be spending a substantial amount of money at the Woodford playing field. This is a BNTF-funded project. I just approved that contract. I'm hoping this week the contract will be signed so we can see work started on the Woodford playing field. So that could be also, and of course we need to really sit down with the Ministry of Sports to look at the Lio Park in Marigot and to see how we can ensure that there's a greater use of the Lio Park in Marigot as a major area for sporting activities. Londonderry is also an area, and there are a number of playing fields that we had started upgrading in the Salibia constituency, which we have to get back to and to continue the work of the further improvements to these playing facilities. As you know, in the Carnago territory, Salibia constituency, cricket is the main sport there, and we need to ensure that we have better facilities or improved facilities, which we started working on in a number of the hamlets throughout the Carnago territory. But your point is taken very, and we know that point, but it is consistent with the government's plans and the government's activities. The issue of education and so on, and anxieties which students have about the payment of the fees, I believe at the Ministry of Education level, we need to improve on the communication. So I'm hoping to put some better structures in place where students can certainly be responded to in greater speed and greater knowledge of what's happening and what's not happening. So I'm hoping that before Friday we can announce this and put a better system in place to respond to students, because I receive a number of WhatsApp messages, but I don't think I have the time sometimes to deal with individual issues like this. So we really need to improve on the structures within the government departments on this. But as you know, we have been approving the requests for studies overseas. One of the things I want to urge parents and students about, and when I get to meet with them on a one-on-one or small groups, I do advise them that they have to choose their course of study very wisely and very carefully. Education should be seen as an investment, and if you have an investment, you must make money out of the investment. There must be returns on the investment, and you have to choose what you believe can land you a job. Yes, what you're passionate about, but also what can land you a job. and what can pay your bills, and what can help you build yourself, what can help you buy up the land, what can help you build a home, what can help you take care of your children. So we have to look at this. And I think this is why we're trying to, as far as possible, to align our tertiary assistance with our national priorities, so that it is easier for a student, for a person returning home in an area that's of need to get a job, as opposed to an area that's not of need to get a job. Caller, please. Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Hi, good evening.
Hello, PM. Good evening. PM. Good night to PM, Dr. Prime Minister.
Good evening to you.
Yes, that is. Yeah, like the same lady you talked to at the hurricane shelter. You could send a message.
Which one is that? Which hurricane shelter is that?
That is in Layo.
Layo. Okay. At the new hurricane shelter there. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, but we have your number, so we'll make contact with you, darling. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Make sure we contact you for further,
Okay.
please.
Yeah, thank you, PM.
Yeah, God bless you.
Okay.
God bless you.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. She's referencing there, of course, she has a personal issue I'll follow up on, but she's referencing there the new facility which she commissioned about a month and a half ago in Layo, which is a regional disaster shelter, hurricane shelter, but also a multi-purpose facility that was financed with a loan from the CDB, and we just started, because contracts have been signed for 2 regional facilities, one in Castle Bruce and the other in Jimmet, at a total cost of $32 million. $32 million I find it's a lot of money for the 2 hurricane shelters, but I guess these designs these days, I don't know. But these are grants from the European Union. We're grateful to the European Union for the partnership and so forth. So this work is ongoing there, and the work has started. I've seen photographs and videos of the work that started, and we look forward to the timely completion. So we really have to provide our young people with more guidance on what they should pursue, the career they should pursue, and think that the world needs. Because if you have too many people trading in one area, then you're going to create a problem. The young person can get frustrated because he doesn't have, he can't get a job that he wants, or the job that's also paying a particular salary, and so forth. And this is why we're trying to create more opportunities with the contraction of a loan of $78 million with regards to the digital economy. With the digital transformation of Dominica, we expect there to be more opportunities for our young people, modernizing the way we conduct business and creating new opportunities as well. So not only more opportunities, but new opportunities on charted waters. And so we look forward to the implementation of this, so that our young people who go into universities can come back and benefit from. Caller, please.
Good evening, PM.
Hi, good evening to you.
I was wondering about the loans, the 2% loan for the students in Aid Bank.
Aid Bank. Yeah.
When will those disbursements be made?
Yeah.
Because the students are
Yeah. Okay.
anxiously waiting.
Okay. Yeah. I will. I do not have the response to this, but certainly we can provide you for a response by tomorrow. But I do not have a specific response to this. I know it's a revolving fund that we established about, I believe I established this thing about in 2006, 2007, I believe, recognizing that a number of us, our parents did not have titles, certificate titles to go to the banks and contract loans for us to go to school. And it's a challenge for many students. And so the government the government provides the funds to the Aid Bank and really guarantee these loans. And students are able to contract loans of varying sums under very, very, very simple processes. And the interest rate is at 2%. 2%, which is extraordinary, as another layer of the commitment of the government towards ensuring that every child in our country do not only have access but have the means of taking advantage of its access. So we will check on this and find out what's happening, whether they need a capitalization or top-up on what they have, or the approval process has not been completed. So we'll find out what's the issue there with the Ministry of Education. As I hinted about the reopening of school, I do not think we should have undue anxieties as parents and children. Make sure that even if the school says that it will provide hand sanitizers, we need to also have our children go with their hand sanitizers and hook it in their pants, and so on, or their bags, and they can use it throughout the school time or on the bus and so forth. And we ourselves as parents, we also need to reorient our children, because the schools have done a fantastic job in terms of providing the students with the guidance as to what they need to do, how should they wash their hands. And my daughter, who is 4 years old, would have taught me the right way to wash my hands, because they were taught so at school. And I think we need to use this week as parents and guardians to go through the routine with our children before they enter school on the 7th, so that the reorientation can take place. I know the teachers will do so, but we have to do so ourselves as parents. Another thing about the BNTF, this week we're hoping to have contract signing for about maybe over $10 million of various projects across Dominica. Again, these are grants through the BNTF Basic Needs Trust Fund, all local contractors, and addressing a number of community projects. So, for example, there's a water challenge in Mount Prosper. There's a fencing of the school in Mount Prosper. There's, I believe, the playing field is upgrading in Mount Prosper. So Mount Prosper will be seeing maybe close to $2 million of interventions under the BNTF. And you have another $1.7 million in grant fund to improve the water supply. I mentioned also the playing field in Woodfordale. You have the community high school, I believe maybe over $1 million to improve the infrastructure at the community high school, including their farming project, and they're well known for the agricultural projects at the community high school. So a lot of very important things, and all of these things are happening, my friends, during a very difficult time. So the more capital investments we have as a government, it is better for the economy. People can get jobs, and people can buy, people can have money in their pockets and food on the table and so on. So we need to get this going. One of the things I want to speak about is the issue of our responsibility to our country insofar as beautifying our country and keeping it clean. We are known the world over to be the nature isle of the world. People recognize that Dominica is a pristine destination, and we've always prided ourselves on keeping our place clean and beautiful. You go into the villages and people who have a small home, but their yards will be adorned with plants of various kinds of plants, and clean, very clean. And I think we need to be more mindful of this. So even some of the neighborhoods I see across Dominica, I mean, why should we wait for the government to come and cut the grass in front of our yards and so on? Why can't we, put together $25 each and get someone with these brush cutters to come and cut that street every month? $100 among ourselves, 10 of us, $10 each. So we have to find ways of doing things for ourselves and plant flowers. Why can't all of us in that street come out and plant flowers and in front of our yards? And so the whole country becomes an attraction in itself. And this is what I've been trying to do in the country to inculcate in our mind, to draw to our conscience, the need for us to play our part. We cannot boast about being the nature isle of the Caribbean based on what the good Lord has given to us alone. What have we done to it? What are we doing to enhance it? What are we doing to conserve it, to preserve it? A caller, please.
Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hi, good evening, Tim.
Good evening to you, my friend.
Thank you for taking my call.
No, pleasure is mine. Please, go ahead.
I'm calling in reference to the houses that you're going to be restricting in Western Ontario. The thing is, I'm only in a small business, and I know that contracts have been signed, and I would like to know what is, I see a possibility for my business. It's more involved in the finishing of the building, of the outside. So what I would like to know is who can I contact to have a discussion with. I would prefer that I have a discussion with you, saying that you move quicker than your minister. So that's what I would like to know. Thank you.
All right. I think we will get your number from your call, I believe, and we will make contact with you. But I know the Ministry of Housing is going to be back in Wesley on Thursday. We have to confirm the time. I believe they'll be both. I believe they'll be in Wesley and Woodfordale. So they're two separate ceremonies. One in Wesley and one in Woodfordale, to explain to the residents in Woodfordale and Wesley and to share with them the plans and the drawings for these housing initiatives in these two wonderful communities. Of course, I always want to mention palm tree. We need to make sure that palm tree is properly taken care of as well. So you may want to have a discussion with the minister there, but we have a number and we'll be contacting you, and we'll see how we can facilitate your particular challenge. Caller, please. No, nobody's there. Okay. Now the other the other thing I want to raise, I just want to tell you that I had a meeting with the Bar Association, or representatives of the Bar Association, the president and the vice president and others from the Bar Association. They came to see me on one subject, one matter really, which is the government's intention to reduce on the judicial fee that is charged for land transactions. So as it is now, the law states that the lawyers cannot charge more than 3% for any land transaction on the value of the land or the property. In the budget address, we indicated that we are reducing both government fees and also the judicial fee from 3% to 1.5%, but for 1 year, just for 1 year. As you know, because the number of people who, for one reason or the other, are unable to have their lands transferred into their names, because obviously sometimes the fees can be prohibitive if you're talking about a particular value of it. So the Bar Association, I believe, is not in favor of the reduction from 3% to 1%. That's why I met with them. I believe that the discussion was cordial, respectful, and they have indicated to me that they would like the opportunity to provide a counter proposal as to how they believe that that everybody can win. And I said, no problem, put it in writing, and I look forward to receiving this in writing. And if it makes sense, I am more than willing to go ahead with it. If it does not, then we will stick to our original position to reduce it to 1.5. But in respect to the government fees that have been reduced, which is about 40% of government fees, so we're reducing the government fees by 40%. We are sticking to this. We believe it to be helpful to a number of property owners, to people who are taking mortgages, who are building homes. These things, every dollar that somebody can save, it certainly is a benefit to everybody. So we look forward to that. And I noticed people had a number of inquiries about the $10,000 for new home owners or those who buy the land for the first time. We are hoping that we can have this launched as early, not this week, coming the following week. We are finalizing the conditions for application, the criteria for application, and the application forms. I know the minister brought a paper to cabinet. That's Minister Dr. King, who I have assigned the responsibility of implementing this initiative on behalf of the government, her ministry. The paper came to cabinet Tuesday, It needed some refining. I've asked him to refine it. I'm hoping he can come back on Tuesday for finalization. Once it's finalized, then we are hitting the road running. But I can tell you, I wasn't surprised, but I was pleasantly surprised, I would say, pleasantly surprised by the number of inquiries that we've had so far. Both Dominicans who are resident and people overseas who want to build there, the number of inquiries. And I think it's helpful, you know, it's going to be helpful, $10,000 on your mortgage, or $10,000 towards your construction, or $10,000 to pay your transfer fees. As I said, every dollar counts. Caller, please.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, calling from Civic.
Jubic.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, please.
Concerning the housing situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when it's raining, it's really bad up there.
Yeah, I recognize your voice. Yeah.
Need some help up there.
No.
I know you have a lot on your plate.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But where
we really need some help up
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. We are aware of the particular situation. We have started to the idea in these homes is to reconstruct those homes using all blocks and concrete to make them more resilient. I mean, majority of them survived the hurricane, which is amazing. It's the petrocasas that we built for the big people in the relocation. But we have taken a decision that we will go on a phased basis towards reconstructing those homes. Obviously, the COVID would have thrown us off a bit, but I'm very grateful for that caller and for that call. Ready to go back to it and to start the process of the first phase or the second phase, really, because we started a few of them, especially in the Granby side, and the idea is to reconstruct all of his homes. Obviously, we cannot do all at one time, but the idea was to do them on a phase basis. So, and I've been there. I know the situation. I've seen it. So nobody needs to persuade me to get it to the need for it to be done. I am very much familiar with it, and certainly we will keep to our promise to these wonderful people of Dubic. You know, really wonderful people. But thank you for the call. And I was saying about the $10,000 per homeowner. We were hoping that we can launch this not this week, but the following week, and people can benefit in it. So the whole idea is that we want to try to make sure that the bureaucratic processes are is either non-existent or very short. Because we need to move quicker with a number of things. Something we do. Though there's good reason why something is delayed, but I believe we need to communicate why there is a delay. I think there's too much of a deafening silence sometimes, and people not having sufficient information as to what is going on in there. Regards to agriculture, under the Agricultural Livelihoods Project, $67 million have been allocated for this. Farmers are benefiting. We provided over 230 farmers with cash to help with farm labor, as announced in the budget address. And we also, I believe another 300 plus people will receive this week cash. And you're talking about, in addition to the inputs, in addition to the implements and the tools, we're also providing farmers with cash to help with farm labor. And I believe that farmers are very happy. I've met numerous farmers who have indicated to me their gratitude for this initiative. I am satisfied that they're using it for the right reason, because these are investments. You understand? These are investments. You need to be able to see these things replicating themselves 5 and 10 years down the road. We should never see this as just getting the money and spending it. It's an investment in ourselves, an investment in our families, an investment in our country. And so my hope is that we can continue to make greater use of this. We've also ordered a large consignment of outboard motors, because that's also part of it, only for agriculture, but also for fisheries. And so farmers and fishermen will also benefit from these outboard motors. that we've ordered and so on. And the whole idea is to empower farmers, empower the fishermen, and to be able to sustain their livelihoods and to sustain their investments, sustain their businesses, so that they can provide food for their families and so on and so forth. Just to say to you, somebody has raised the issue about the Margaret Hospital is moving speedily. The structure is complete in terms of the external walls, in terms of the roof, the foundations. All of this is complete. I believe they're engaging now in electrical and mechanical and electrical works and so forth. So it's on stream to complete, I believe, in April of next year. Be fully functional. The health centers have been completed in Vickers, in Marigot, in Maho, in Portsmouth, in Bellevue-Chopin. We are waiting, as I said to you last time, the new equipment and furniture for these health centers. Once they get in, we will open up formally these health centers. And of course, we are about to demolish the old structure at Corley-Ho. And I want to thank the Lord Bishop for his willingness to part with the property there and allow us to build for the residents. And I really want to thank him for that. And certainly the Lord will bless him for this. And also the property owner in Newtown, Mr. Langwa, who so graciously agreed to sell the government 18,000 square feet of land in Newtown to build this new Newtown Health Center, and also to two property owners in Ansdemay. I can't remember the other person's name, but the other person is Ronald Andre. One person, Ronald Andre, and there's another gentleman who was a bit unwilling, but I think eventually he has gotten around, and I want to thank him for that. I'm hoping to meet him personally at some point because it's a benefit for the whole of the community, including himself, down the road, and his family. And of course to Dr. Moise, who has so graciously agreed to sell us some land in Soufrière for the construction of the health center adjacent to the old health center site in Soufrière. So having acquired those properties, it has made life easier for us to move with this construction, and we're looking forward to starting in the next couple of weeks or so in September. And of course, work is ongoing in Bacatel. And as you know, the residents of Bacatel, the plan is, as I explained to you last year, is that we will build a new health center in a new site. We'll demolish the old health center, or the current health center rather, and to use the current health center site along with the lands adjacent to the current health center to build the residences for you there in Bacatel, because this is one of the maybe only few safe areas in Bacatel left. And in consultation with the residents of Bacatel, we've agreed that this would allow for the construction of residences here in Bacatel. And so we look forward to the completion of the health center and the commencement of the housing in that area. And that's where we are with regards to the health centers and so on. The Dominica China Friendship Hospital is ongoing. The contractors are in fact advancing some actions with the intention of sticking to the original date prior to us being impacted by Hurricane Maria. So they're really pushing some work there, the Chinese firm, and I'm very grateful to them for the diligence. They themselves recognizing the importance of a healthcare facility. And I believe once this facility is completed, we will see marked improvement in the delivery of healthcare services to our citizens. So you have a number of new health centers, the Marigot Hospital, the Portsmouth Hospital, hopefully next year will be expanded. We will reconstruct the Grand Bay Hospital, and as we do in the health center in Grand Bay, so that we can certainly have better physical infrastructure here in Dominica. We will take a short break, and I shall come back so we can continue the discussion. Thank you very much.
respiratory viruses like COVID-19 spread when mucus or droplets containing the virus get into your body through your eyes, through your nose, or your throat. Most often, this happens through your hands. Hands are also one of the most common ways that the virus spreads from one person to the next. Hand washing is one of the cheapest, easiest, and most important ways to prevent the spread of the virus. It remains the #1 tip for preventing the spread of COVID-19. It's common sense, and it works. However, it must be done properly and with soap and water. Sabrina Bernard, nurse and health educator, gives a step-by-step guide on good hand washing. She will tell everything you need to know about how to wash your hands the right way.
All right, sure. All right, thank you. Welcome back. And of course, the numbers to call is 611-3400 and 225-3400 if you wish to call. Now, to the person who called about the 2% student loan, I've gotten the response to you, for you, sorry. They will start disbursing on September 4th for those who would have been approved. So if you've been approved, you will get a check from September 4th, 2020. So that's the simple response to your question. The issue of, I also made the point about beautification and cleanliness. And the other major challenge we have in Dominica with regards to derelict vehicles. I mean, come on, man, please. It's really an eyesore for us, and it's also a breeding ground for rodents and other vectors. And the Ministry of the Environment has done a pretty good job, along with the Solid Waste Department, and I really want to commend them for that. But this has to be an initiative of all of us, especially those who are responsible for these derelict vehicles. And even sometimes when we want to get them out, people are challenging the government and the Solid Waste Department of getting them out, when they have been sitting there for 10 years, 15 years. And this is just not safe, it's not right. And I'm hoping that we can bring to bear some attention to this so that our people can appreciate the need for us to get it going. Somebody in the break time also asked about the sanitization of buses for school children. That will be done. The bus drivers and the bus owners will be given, provided training and guidance and guidelines on sanitization of the buses for school. And at the schools, as you know, we're having people to facilitate the sanitization of our children and the classrooms as well. So there are a number of very detailed measures which the Ministry of Education is putting in place for the return of school to school or children. But as I said, parents must play their part and to ensure that our children can have also their supplies when they go to school. The more we have, is better for everybody. In respect to the income support at the DSS, it's been going well. We've also taken a decision to extend this initiative by another 3 months. But one of the biggest challenges we have is that on the form, there needs to be your employer verification. So the employer needs to verify that you were in fact employed. So you need to ensure as the applicant that your employer can sign this this form for you so that you can start benefiting from this thing. Because the money is there, you are qualified, but we need this verification from your employer. So those of you who have not received, I would urge you to make a call or visit to the DSS and to verify this particular point so that we can benefit, because the money is there is for you. The money has been placed there, and if you're in need of it, it should be given to you. Obviously, there are conditions for this because we have to account for these funds properly. There's a call about the initiative for the job reclassification in the public sector. As I indicated some time ago, we have made a submission to CARICAD, the regional entity, I believe. We're waiting for them to get back to us because the intention there is to use them to conduct the exercise as they've done work for us in the past in that regard, and they have extensive experience and expertise in that area of public sector reform, public service reform. And we look forward to they giving us a response. And once that is done, then we will certainly move ahead with the signing of the contract. Yes, caller, please.
Good evening, PM.
Good evening to you.
How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good, thank you.
Yeah, blessings to Dominica and you and the whole Caribbean and all that the world.
Thank you.
Somebody told you about the bridges on the north. Can you just give us more little details on that, please?
Excuse me, sorry, the what?
The bridges from the north side. From
all the bridges from Portsmouth all the way to, okay, yeah. No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. Yeah. He's asking about the bridges. We have, as indicated, we have issued a contract, we have approved a contract and signed a contract with a firm to conduct the feasibility studies for the road from Borough Square all the way down to Pigwa, St. Mary's Bridge and Pigwa. And the intention is, obviously, this is being financed by the Equity Fund, and that's a prerequisite for the contracting of funds to do the actual construction or reconstruction of this project. And the plan is to ensure as far as possible with this project that we can reduce on the drive time between the airport and Portsmouth. Where we can straighten up, let's we can straighten up. But certainly, my friend, one of the major elements of this project will be having two-lane bridges, in all of its bridges. We did that, as you recognize, from Kane Field all the way down to the Douglas Church Airport. This government did this. We now have, because prior to that, you never had two-lane bridges along. We brought in two-lane bridges on all of its bridges. People don't pay attention to this thing because everybody's driving cool and calm. But going to the airport before I became Prime Minister was a nightmare. This was like a feeder road, very narrow. But now we drive, no problem. Except 1-2 places in Bells where we have broken edges and we open to reconstruct these retaining walls. But this is the same thing I would like to do between Pigwa and Borough Square to have the widening on the bridges to allow for two-lane traffic on these bridges and improve safety along this road. So the consultancy has been signed, and we're looking forward to its completion so we can move to the next stage, which is design and construction. Somebody saying, hi PM, what is the latest with our hotel projects? Our hotel projects, and I believe you're speaking about the Anichi Marriott in Portsmouth, and you're speaking about the Hilton by Courier at Salisbury. You're talking about Jungle Bay. You're talking about Secret Bay. I can tell you, with regards to Jungle Bay, what the proprietor did during the COVID period was to use this period to complete the construction of the additional villas, the additional residences there. And so that was done. So we now have more rooms at the Jungle Bay now than we had at the start of COVID in February and so forth. So, wonderful property, and I have been told by the proprietor that he will open his doors for business in October of this year. So we look forward to the reopening of Jungle Bay in October of this year. And one of the good things Sam Raphael did was that he did not lay off people. You know, he basically reassigned people to different aspects of the construction, and this was great, and so we're able to maintain employment down there during difficult periods and so on. Curio, Hilton by Courier in Salisbury, fantastic work happening there. Excellent project. I mean, one can really visualize that project when it's completed. It will be a masterpiece, I can tell you. And I want to commend Ian Edwards and his team for an exceptional job there. The government is certainly pleased with what's happening down there and the quality of work, and they are really delivering on what they promised the people of Dominica that they will deliver. Then we have Anichi, the Marriott Hotel in Portsmouth. Work is going on very well, never stopped through the COVID period. I have been told by the developer, Mr. Lawrence, that he's going even to ramp up construction now that the major aspects of the work is done, and now moving to MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. So they're going to be engaging in all of this and internal works and so forth. So, but work is ongoing there. Fantastic job. Really transforming this part of Dominica, and no doubt when this is completed, one will appreciate how very important these projects are. With regards to Secret Bay, Mr. Gregor Nassif is continuing on his tradition of delivering excellence. There are some villas that are under construction now, hoping to be completed by the end of this year, I believe. We have seen what Mr. Gregor Nassif Secret Bay have done with the first set of villas, the quality and the number of awards and accolades which they have earned themselves, international accolades and awards. And this is just a continuation of the extraordinary work that he has done with Secret Bay. And the government is very happy to have partnered with him on this project, and no doubt it's going to bring tremendous positive benefits to our country. And the interest in this project is so far-reaching, And then we have another project which was approved for Roseau. In Roseau, the project is approved. And then there's another project in the north of Portsmouth along Cotton Hill area. And so there's interest in this. We are very happy with what's happening, and no doubt these projects are creating construction jobs, but more importantly, or equally importantly rather, they'll create sustainable long-term jobs for our citizens and residents. We have a caller, please.
Yes, good evening. Good evening, PM.
Hi, good evening to you.
PM, I have a daughter with a 4.0 GPA. Mm-hmm. I've been going up and down ministry. High school, her tuition is yet to pay.
Yeah, but you will take note of your number, and I'm sure the Ministry of Education will contact you on this and so on. Okay, thank you. Yeah. All right. I also want to inform the nation that the Cabinet last week approved of the engagement of Sir Dennis Byron, retired Chief Justice of the OECS Supreme Court and retired Chief Justice of the Caribbean Court of Justice, who will serve as the sole commissioner to advance efforts towards electoral reform This was a firm commitment which we gave, and notwithstanding the COVID period, we felt it was important for us to advance efforts towards electoral reform. And Sir Dennis has indicated to us that he will commence the exercise in the month of September, and he should be in a position to submit a final report by the end of December 2020. So this is good news for us. This is a commitment to us. Electoral reform for this government is important. It's important for the country, and we're hoping that once Sir Dennis would have submitted his report, then we can go to the Parliament to effect the necessary changes as he'll recommend to the country to move forward. And you know, Sir Dennis is an exceptional Commonwealth. I would say a Commonwealth citizen. You know, not an OECS or Caribbean citizen. You know, the respect which Sir Dennis has beyond the Caribbean shores is really exceptional. And I believe that I don't think there's any better person our country could find to conduct this exercise. You know, and so I'm very happy and pleased and grateful to him for accepting. And I can say to you that he said he was very busy. He had a number of things doing as expected, but he felt it that he wanted to do this for Dominica, and we're very grateful for him squeezing some time for us on this exercise. So we are committed to this. I will also make mention, and the minister before I go, tell me the telephone call. Hello, caller, please.
Yes, good evening, PM.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to share some observations regards to previous programs. The first one has to do with when the Minister of Agriculture was on the program. He mentioned that by the end of March, all the persons had been paid to go out by the abattoir. But I recall on the health program of the 20th of April, the PS for Agriculture was on, and the lady called the program to say that it was 6 months she was owed by the abattoir. And the PS acknowledged that about 10% of the people had not been paid. And they assured the lady, okay, by Friday, your check would be ready. So it would mean that by the end of March, everybody wasn't paid if that woman was owed. And that if 10% of the people was still owed by the abattoir.
Well, my friend, as you know, I mean, I don't think we can engage ourselves on these details. And if you have a particular case, I would suggest you may want to raise it to the Ministry of Agriculture directly. This is listen to me, please. Obviously, whatever information the PS minister would have, they will get it from the abattoir. The abattoir is being run by a separate managing team from the public service. So if the minister says to you, well, as far as the minister knows, and I know, whenever these things come to me, they will say to you they owe as of this date, and you clear. There may very well have been some people who may not have been captured by the management of the abattoir of who is outstanding. That happens sometimes even in the public service itself. That when I ask, okay, who do we owe? And they say, okay, we owe these people. Then you have some situations where sometimes contracts have not been signed with people, and that is not part of the system. So there are a lot of administrative issues sometimes, but I don't think for us to spend the program now to talk about what the PS said on another program, and I didn't hear the program, and therefore I cannot speak to what the PS said. I am just making a general point of what normally obtains in the public service, but I don't think that program is about, about other issues rather than what somebody else has said and so forth. So, but if you're owed by the abattoir, then let the ministry know, and we will certainly have you paid and so on. But let us not. I don't want us to go down that road, my friend. Because of respect to you and appreciation for your call and so forth. But if you have observations as to how I can improve on this program and what topics I can discuss and what issues I can raise, send us an email or send us a WhatsApp, and I can tell you I will certainly respond to those points and so on. But it's about what you believe I should talk about, issues I could talk about, points I should raise, policies the government should implement, projects, programs, what the government is doing right, what the government should be doing that's not doing, what the government is doing that it ought not to, etc., what the government is doing right, that it should be doing more of, what different direction the government should take on a particular issue, so that we can enrich the discussion and we can certainly enhance the opportunities for our country. But we look forward to that point. I know last time you called and you made a suggestion and I responded, which was good, and I think that's the line we should take. The other point I want to make is, and of course the Minister for National Security, Home Affairs, Honorable Blackmore, will give more details on this, but I also want to say to the public that we have also contracted Mr. Allen, who will be the director of the Legal Aid Clinic. Mr. Allen is a distinguished lawyer, and I believe that he is one of the lawyers in Dominica, who provides the most pro bono work for the working class people in this country, and I think he is a natural addition to the Legal Aid Clinic, and no doubt people's access to legal advice will certainly be enhanced with Mr. Peter Allen at the helm of the Legal Aid Clinic. And when you're working in these kinds of entities, there must be an intrinsic motivation. You must love these things, and you must love to want to help ordinary people. And Mr. Allen has distinguished himself in that area, and we're very grateful that we were able to persuade him to come to head this unit and to provide much required service to so many people who seek legal advice on a wide range of issues. And of course, it is this government that created the Legal Aid Clinic, the first of its kind in the Commonwealth of Dominica. And there are scores of Dominicans who have benefited from this effort. The other point I would like to say to us, and my friends in Portsmouth, I know we have some flooding, and I've given clear instructions for us to reinstate a number of these drains that were blocked. And I know, I just wanted, there was a drain that was going right across the gas station and in front of M&R. I remember back in the days as a schoolboy and a teacher at PSS, that there was a drain there, and it's something that we need to look at, but I have given the minister instructions and the power up there that we need to move very quickly to reinstate the drainage system. Obviously, Portsmouth has a particular challenge being below sea level, so we need to ensure that we can have proper drainage out of the town of Portsmouth into the oceans and so on. So I'm hoping that we can get the report on this very quickly, so that we can move to implement the measures to mitigate against the flooding that we've seen taking place in Portsmouth over recent times. So I want to thank them for that. The other point I want to make to us in Dominica is this: we're in a highly difficult period and so on, and for the government as well, for your families, for everybody, everywhere in the world, and it calls upon us to be even more patriotic in our efforts. This government is not perfect. This government is not perfect, and we're open to suggestions and ideas as to how we can make life better for people, but we operate in a very difficult period. And notwithstanding the fact that we operate in this very difficult period, we have not cut any of our social services. We still provide support to our students. We provide support to our elderlies. We still build homes. We still fix homes, for many families across Dominica. We have not sent home one person. Every month we have to find $3.5 million to underwrite the cost of the National Employment Program, who themselves are doing a fantastic job. I mean, when you look at what the NAP is doing in so many communities, without them, the communities will not be so clean and so beautiful. And so many of these NAP people are doing a fantastic job, and we appreciate that. So $3.5 million every month to provide for the NAP. And we make these payments because we are committed to providing our people with an opportunity to earn a dollar, to earn a bread, to be employed, to gain experience in the various places of employment. And this support also helps a number of small and medium-sized enterprises to sustain their businesses, giving them the breathing space to be able to grow, So it's a major investment that we're making in this with regards to the NEP. And so when it was created in 2009, it was introduced or established in 2009, there are people who felt that it was going to last and so on, but here we are 11 years later and it's still going strong. Yes, caller, please.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello, PM?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you.
Probably you have recognized the voice.
Yes, yes.
I'm calling from Guadeloupe. I sent you a WhatsApp a while ago, but since you're very busy. But PM, I really want to get in touch with you, but I want to big you up for what you have been doing for the country. I know I'm at you, but I know how difficult it could be for you and the government on a whole.
Yeah.
But I want to say to you what you have been doing. I am impressed, and I wish you all the best, and especially the young guys you have as ministers. I am very impressed to see that we have young people that can replace people like you when you all make way for the coming generation. I had the opportunity to liaise with Mr. George Oscar, which is a very humble and sweet and loving person. Because I had, ask for my business. So I don't want to say too much, PM, because I don't want to tell you about what I'm going to talk about, because this is not the avenue for that.
Sure. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for your call. I wish all.
And PM,
yeah.
I have already texted you so many times, but no response. I know you're busy.
Yeah. We'll speak. I know.
Okay, PM.
I know Minister George spoke to you, and you had a discussion on the matter as well.
Okay, PM.
Yeah, sure. But I want to extend greetings to all of you in Guadeloupe. And I know, like here and like everywhere else, there are challenges. We cannot give up. We cannot be despondent. The Lord will never give us more than we can bear, so we have to see this as a period of trial. But we'll overcome. We'll overcome, and we just have to work together. We just have to be our neighbor's keeper to go for the Spirit. And in our case, and we have to really give God thanks, because with all of what's happening, and we're talking about so many of these major projects, $126 million for the East Coast Road, $42 million for 2 regional shelters. We're talking about 600 homes that will be constructed under the World Bank funded project with 90 people already approved for construction. You're talking about health centers, hospitals being built, major road infrastructure. We are finalizing the contractual process for the schools that will be financed by the Caribbean Development Bank. And from the Canadian government, through the CDB. And we thank the government of Canada for its partnership. So the number of positive things are happening in there, that are benefiting people back to school. We're still providing books and uniforms to children. We're still providing the school transfer grant of $500 to our children who sat the national assessment exam and who we need all these $500 to purchase things. We're handing over homes. We're talking about BNTF projects we finance across the country, plus these hotels that are under construction, plus the private sector investments that are taking place. So there are a number of positive things that are happening. We just have to build on them, and we have to be more efficient. We have to be more accountable with what we do as a people, and to really believe in ourselves, and to be constructive. We have to be positive, and we always have to see the glass half full rather than half empty, and we have to show gratitude for what's happening and so forth. If you have a job now in this COVID period, you really have to give God thanks, and you need to do everything possible to keep this job. And I think too that we as employees, we have to show greater regard to our employer. We have to be more diligent. We have to give more. There's no need for us to leave at 4 o'clock if we need something done. Stay back until 5, 6 o'clock to get it done. Because the more profitable your employer is, the more sustained your job will be, and we have to appreciate that. And of course, the caller made the point about the ministers that we have in the cabinet. I believe that we have a formidable team, very diligent, very, very hardworking, very bright, intelligent people. And I believe that the future, the leadership of the country is assured. There's so many of them there to choose from, and who are making the contribution in various ways to the national effort. And they've come in. We have a caller. Hello?
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, good night.
Hi.
Is that the man?
Yes, that's him.
Hi, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you.
Okay, so wonderful program tonight.
Thank you.
I have a question in reference to the housing program for Campbell. I know since Electoral, which is 5 years ago, we had a disaster zone. I'm hearing about all the wonderful programs for the community. Can you give us a status? Because all my family is in Campbell, I'm very worried. Last time I had a lot of worries, they could not rest.
All right. Thank you, caller. I actually was the first person who suggested to Campbell in 2007 they need to relocate. As you know, we had this major disaster where some of our friends lost their lives in Campbell as a result of the rain and the flood and the landslides which took place there. But we have given a commitment. Obviously, Campbell is one of the vulnerable communities in the country. We have given a commitment to relocate them on a phased basis. So we have identified some lands in Warner, and I'm hoping that we can present this plan to the people of Campbell very soon. Based on what the minister, the power rep, Honorable Blackmore indicated, we have already identified the first 25 families, the 25 most vulnerable families in Campbell. And I just believe that we just need to finalize the plans for the construction of this new residence, this new development for the residents of Campbell. But it's a commitment that we have made, and it's something that it's a commitment that we'll deliver upon. So, and I understand the anxieties, just as you do, my friend, because I know Campbell very well. I've been there a million times, and I'm aware of the issue there. So it's a commitment that we are certainly going to pursue and pursue vigorously. Another caller, please. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Just turn down the volume of your radio, please, and listen to us and ask a question.
Okay, can you hear me?
No, I want you to turn down the volume of your radio first, or your television.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Unless you turn it down, my brother, you.
Yes.
Just turn it off completely or something like this, yeah.
I did turn it off. Can you hear me now?
Go ahead. Hello.
Okay, I want to thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
And thanks for giving us the information that we need. I think you being on the radio every Sunday and your PSCs. And your PSCs give us the information. That's what we call transparent government.
Yeah. Thank you, my friend.
Yes, so Committee doing a great job. I think the achievements that the government has made.
Yeah. Hello? Yeah, we need to watch this double calls and so on. So, yeah. But thank you, caller. The intention of this program is to bring the information to the public and allow the public to quiz myself or any minister or senior public officer, because I recognize that it's something that's not really happening in Dominica, where senior public officers are make themselves available to the public and to provide the public information. Most times it is the Prime Minister or Minister who has to do it. And I mean, if you're permanent secretary or director of this or director of that, you have information, you are answerable to the public, and you need to inform the public what's happening. And so the intention is to continue this and to also allow other Dominicans to share with us what they're doing in terms of their own contribution to the country's development. And this will continue. I give a commitment that we will have this program every Sunday as far as practically possible. We have remained true to it. So even I was seeing this whether we're going to have the program or not, because I'm concerned about all these people who have to support the hosting of this program. But we, thank God we're able to have it, because I know so many people are looking forward to this program. There's a WhatsApp message or WhatsApp question. PM, what do you think about mandatory quarantine for all visitors to our country? Good point, yes. But I'm not sure how because the borders are open now, how practical it is. What we have done based on advice is that we have categorized countries. And so there's low risk, there's medium risk, and there's high risk. And in each of these categories, there are certain guidelines and certain protocols that are ascribed which need to be followed. Okay, and then we have the CARICOM bubble, where we have listed certain countries which are part of this CARICOM bubble. What we do is that when you come in, first of all, to come into the country, you have to have a PCR test that will have been taken between 24 and 72 hours of your arrival into Dominica. If you don't have this, you go into mandatory quarantine for a couple of days, for a few days until the PCR test is conducted. And if you're negative, then you go home and for further to adhere to certain guidelines at home. And if you are tested positive, then you'll be taken to the isolation unit at the Dominica China Friendship Hospital. What we've also indicated is that there are some countries where you have to go to mandatory quarantine in a government facility. Obviously, the government facilities can be a challenge because this is essentially a hotel you're running with services, with staff, and then we have the challenge of people not paying for the quarantine facilities. It's a huge cost to the government for meals and for accommodation, for transportation. So the number of issues that we have to contend with. But we believe that the system that we have in place, the protocols that we have in place, the guidelines that we have in place, the strict adherence to testing that we have put in place can mitigate against the risk which the opening of the borders have posed. As I said, they will never eliminate the risk completely, but if we can stick to the very strict protocols and guidelines that we've set at the airport, we can capture people at the airport. And once we capture you at the airport, then you will not have the opportunity to go in the community. You understand? To go into the community and then to interact with people and then to transmit the disease to the virus to people. And then you have the issue of contact tracing that has to be done and so forth. So, and as I said, this last case that was identified on the 26th, that person went through the secondary screening because the person had a PCR test done and the person's flight got delayed. So by the time the person got into Dominica, the 72 hours would have expired. And because the 72 hours expired, that person went into a secondary screening, which means that the person had to be taken to the government quarantine facility and be subjected to a PCR test, not a rapid test, a PCR test. And it is by this means that we were able to detect that person had COVID-19. So if we had said this, and this is why, why we were very careful, though and we had almost taken a decision of accepting a PCR test which is 5 or 7 days prior to your arrival. And so there's always a concern about this 5 or 7 day arrangement and so forth. And so if we had this 5 or 7 days in place, we may have other challenge. Though I believe maybe through the rapid test that the antibodies could have been detected in the person's system, but the PCR test is the gold standard for testing COVID-19, and that's what we subject people to in the secondary testing arrangement. And so while mandatory quarantine would be the ideal, that because you would certainly eliminate any possibility of people going out in the community with COVID-19, but the practicality of it is of concern. The ability to manage this is a concern, and the fact that we have low and medium and high risk categorization, we are able, and with specific protocols and guidelines and so forth, assigned to these particular categories, then there is really no need for mandatory quarantine. I believe what we need to look at is in some areas where you have high risk and you have community spread in those countries or regions, and where the people's testing abilities are a bit impaired. So there are some countries where you do have community spread. They do not have the testing capabilities of PCR tests, and so we send these people to quarantine for a few days. We test you, and how the results come, there is a process to treat you and so on. So this is what we are dealing with and so on. The other point I want to stress again, just to come back to this, is to the hurricane season. And September is really one of the challenging months. Most hurricanes is August, September. So we have September, and we have the hurricane season now is pushed to all the way in November these days. It used to be end of September, but now October, November, you still have challenges. So it's important for us to really pay attention to this, because if we prepare properly, if we take action to mitigate against the hazards, it can reduce on the cost of reconstruction. And I see sometimes I go to farm roads and I see the drains are blocked by a few leaves, and the farmers drive up and down and nobody's stopping and taking the cutlass and clearing the leaves, and then the road gets washed away. So we really have to play our part. Or there's a tree that needs to be pruned, it's not pruned, then some wind comes, then the project, the house, the tree falls on the house, you may not have insurance, or you may be underinsured, and there's a challenge and so forth. So for us to be able to place ourselves in a better situation than we were at the time after Maria, we really need to pay attention to some of the things that we were not doing right and properly, and to have them corrected and so forth. And we must not be complacent. I heard some people saying, well, but you only get a major storm like that every 4 years or every 5 years or every 10 years and so on. So the probability of Dominica being hit by another major hurricane, they say, is but we were affected by a trough in December of 2013, which caused a lot of damage to properties along the Caribbean Sea, the coastline. And then, a tropical storm was coming in Dominica. Normally, when we hear tropical storm in Dominica, we don't get anxious. It rains, and the rain goes into the oceans and so on, and we're fine. But a tropical storm Erica, altered this thinking for us permanently. So even though when it's raining now, I get anxious because I keep calling different communities to say, what's happening there? Is anything okay? Is everything okay? Because when it's raining, I cannot sleep. So I didn't get any sleep last night. Staying up and monitoring things and trying to get reports as early in the morning to see what's happened or what's happened, and just keep praying to the Lord that nothing happens, because the Lord knows we really cannot afford any kind of storm. because we just don't have the funds to respond to this with the COVID in the same period. And as I indicated sometime, you heard the Director General of the World Health Organization indicating that COVID is going to be with us for the next 2 years. For the next 2 years. As to what the world will be like next year, I do not know. As to what the world will be like in 2 years' time, I do not know. But if it's going to continue on that trend, and the way things are, we only reference the United States on these things because the United States is the largest economy in the world. I think a lot of us look to the United States because of the impact the United States economy has on the world. We always reference the United States, not to make anybody feel bad or anything, but just to reference that, come up to that point. We have a caller, please. Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Hi.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, sir, go ahead, please.
Yes, calling from you.
You call it?
Mr. President, I read a big book on one-on-one things. It is possible. I've so much to do.
Is he breaking up? You're breaking up, sir. Sorry, I can't hear you clearly.
What I was saying, I said really want to have one to it's possible, please.
Okay, we'll tell you we'll get the number and we'll contact you and so on. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, my brother. Yeah. And so the United States is a major consumer, global consumer, and so if people are unable to consume to the extent that they should consume in the United States, it's going to have an impact on economies like ours, and with so many millions of people out of work in the United States, and no one knows when they're going to get jobs, and with all the riots and protests up there, with businesses going under, every time I read the news, I'm seeing some major investor business going to bankruptcy. I just saw American Airlines and so on laying off about 20 or so thousand people, because people are not flying. The airline industry, global airline industry, will lose about $354 billion this year. So you expect a number of them to go into bankruptcy. Many airlines will go under. So it is. The worst is not over yet. The worst is not over yet because the countries just still have curfews and state of emergencies. Borders are not fully open. Hotels are closed. Cruise ships are saying they want to come back hopefully in October. They're working on some protocols. We're in discussions with them and to see how we can work with them to meet this and to see how we can reconcile this against the presence of COVID-19. So if you realize on the major ports in the Caribbean, they don't have daily flights, and in some major ports there are no flights at all coming in, international flights. So the situation is not there's some improvement in some areas, some sectors, some industries, but globally, you have not seen the worst yet, because and in some countries where you had the stimulus support, it has ended. The income support has ended because in some of these countries, they're concerned that if they continue the furlough, they continue the income support, then it may disincentivize people from wanting to go and to go and look for a job. If they get an unemployment benefit every month, the question is why go to work? Why go and fetch a job when I can get monies and so forth to pay my rent and so on? So there has been huge debates in many of these major economic centers about the issue of the continuation of the income support to a number of the people who lost their jobs. So so therefore, what we can do for ourselves by ourselves, we need to do more of it. In our country and within the region. We need to support each other more. The region needs to look at food security and look at countries within the CARICOM that can grow food and to see how we can supply ourselves to ensure that our local families can benefit from this. So there are a number of things I believe that we can look at and we need to look at. And of course, with elections in the United States and people distracted on elections, it's also a challenge sometimes. But we hope for the best. We always have to be optimistic. And in my case, I'm optimistic. I'm not daunted by the task. We've been through these challenges many times. And I was saying to some people the weekend, I feel like Job but the only difference between myself and Job is that I'm tested many times. Job was only tested once. But that's life, and you have to go through the emotions and do what you have to do with the help of God and helping the people of Dominica. In respect to the travel advisory that the U.S. issued, I believe that it may be updated and to put what is actually the case. And I am very grateful to the government of the United States and the State Department for recognizing that and recognizing that the information needs to be updated. And I think the communication needs to be maintained. And I am very grateful to the responsiveness of the U.S. government to our diplomatic note on the issue. And it's not being contentious, it's just providing them with accurate information. Caller, please.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, I was just calling to what is the status of the housing project with the Social Security for diasporans?
Well, with regards to that, this is where we're looking for a private sector partner, and we've indicated that the preferred option would be for a private sector person to partner with the DSS. The DSS has the land. If somebody can come in and bring some equity and to build those homes and to pre-sell those homes, because there are a number of Dominicans, I'm sure Electoral might be one of them, who would be interested in buying. I know there are a number of Dominicans in Canada and the United Kingdom who do not want to go for the hassle of building their own homes and being overseas and building a home. They would just like to buy a home or buy a plan and let somebody build it for them and under some special arrangements. So we're looking for private sector persons to partner with the DSS to allow this to happen. The DSS had done some extensive work, some feasibility studies on this, so we had started some process, but I believe that this is largely a private sector project and not another government project, So herein lies an opportunity, and our banks in Dominica are very liquid. There's money, people have money in banks. And also many of our citizens have significant sums of funds overseas, and it's a lucrative investment. I believe that you're guaranteed, even Dominicans who are resident here would buy homes. There are a number of young people who are now part of this nouveau middle class, as they call themselves. I'd rather stay in the proletariat group, but there are people who call themselves the nouveau middle class. So who would buy a home? Who buy a home, and so it's open, my friend, to the private sector entities to get us going. We look forward to another week. It's a week that we have to recommit ourselves to nation building. Let us be diligent. Let us go the extra mile to make things happen. And let us see let us try to commit ourselves to doing one good thing for somebody who is in need in our society. You know, reaching out to people, being truly our neighbor's keeper. We're going back to school. Here's the government is assisting students with books and school bags and stationery, uniforms and so on. But if we know of children in our community who may be in need of some help, it won't cost us much to reach out to that person. You know, to buy a pair of shoes. The pair of shoes, what, $70 for the child? You know, 2 shirts, $45 each, that's $70. A pair of pants, $65, you know. And we can see the child going to school and learning and doing well. You know, let us reach out to this, you know. We have a neighbor who needs a little help. And you know, some of the things that happen in the country is that there are people who go around deliberately or otherwise, and they go searching for people in distress circumstances. And they do a video and then they post it on social media. I'm not sure what is the intention of this. You know, to me, if I go, when I go into communities and I see these things, I try to help. You know, even whether it's on a personal level. So if I go somewhere and I see a child is in need of a pair of shoes, I'll buy a pair of shoes for a child or something. Or I see somebody in need of housing, I will take note of it. I will call the Ministry of Housing. I will call the minister. I will call my office and say, look, this person, or the pile rep or something. You know, so you know, it's not going to achieve anything by us trying to make somebody look bad or something, when we could very, very well have the opportunity to help that person or to seek help on behalf of that person. And this is what we're going to do. I also want to say to our students studying overseas that if you're going to change because that's part of the challenge we have with students overseas, if you're going to change your major, it's important that you inform the Ministry of Education in advance of taking a decision. Because it creates a problem for us in terms of the reconciliation of our files, in terms of our commitment to you as a student, et cetera, et cetera. So I believe that once we finalize the new guidelines and the new policy for tertiary education, it will address a number of challenges, because part of the challenge we have is that people are applying throughout the year. And so you never have enough control over the process, and that creates a problem. And the other thing too is that, you know, parents and students need to carefully consider the financing arrangements before the child goes to school, you know, and so forth. The other thing is that, you know, we have to guard against the move from our first degree straight into a second degree without clearly understanding the financial implications of this. Schools in America in particular will lure you into doing a second degree thinking that they will fund for you, and when you get into the program, you find out that you're a bill. You know, so we're very careful with this, and so seek advice, seek guidance on this. But our commitment, you know, when we make a promise, and certainly when I make a promise, I keep the promise. It may take longer than sometimes, but I do make a promise. I don't make promises I cannot keep. And so if we say that we will pay your tuition fees and there's a letter, we will commit to this. But as students, we have to be responsible. We cannot go and spend as if we are working people. You're a student, you know, and you need to be mindful of your priorities. And you're going to school to learn. There are people like me and others who had to struggle to make it through. Many of you don't have any struggles. You don't have to worry about many things, you know. And then we have to show appreciation for this, you know. And so it's not going to school is not a fashion statement. It is not it is about your future and empowering yourself to be able to live an independent life and to contribute to humanity and to contribute to your country's development. And this is how we have to see it. If you see it that way, there's nothing that will trouble you at school. And your performance will be exemplary. So let us be focused on this. Of course, I want to thank the teachers for your commitment to our students. We're going back. I know that there should be anxiety, there will always be anxieties and concerns and fears, but I think we can work it through. I think we can work it through. Let us work it through. These are our children. These are our children, and they are our responsibility, and let us work it through. If the health professionals could be out there every day and night, the police, the firemen, the ambulance drivers, the nurses, the doctors, the ward aides, everybody who is exposed in the quarantine facility to patients who have been diagnosed with COVID-19. You know, we need to play our part, and our part is to educate our children and to mold the young minds to live peaceable and constructive lives in Dominica. And so we thank you for this. But parents, you have to play your part. You have to play a part in the education of your children. The wider society, we have to play our part. We can't leave everything to the schools. Our children need us. Our children need a whole community. Our children need a whole village to be able to mold them into what society would like them to be. And of course, the students, you've had a lot of free time. You should use this week to reorient yourself to catching the bus, waking up early, and going to school for your 5 hours a day. And as time goes by, we'll assess and reassess the situation, and where changes need to be done, we will make those changes. But let us see how the first day goes and the first week goes, and then we can make an assessment of how things are. But I believe it's a good decision to go back to school. I believe it's a wise decision. I believe that it is the right decision. So let us all support it, and let's move forward. I thank you very much. May the good Lord bless us. May the good Lord bless your families. And may the good Lord bless our country, Dominica, and indeed the entire world. There are difficult times, but there are lots we can be thankful for. Let us be positive, and let us help build our country into what we would like it to be. Thank you very much. Until next time, God bless you. Thank you.
The Ministry of Health, Wellness and New Health Investment urges all individuals to observe respiratory etiquette to prevent the spread of infectious diseases like COVID-19. The principles of respiratory etiquette are simple. To tell you how to prevent the spread of infection, here's nurse and health educator Sabrina Bernard.